Hi, welcome to my happy place. We are back today and we are doing a third installment of our Spin Effects series. Today we're working with Spin Effects 3. Spin Effects 3 is definitely a directional template. You can see how it goes off on one side here. If you want to flip it over, it'll go off to the left. If you want to put it right side up, it will go off to the right. With this in mind, when I use this template many times, I will put staple tape on both sides of the template so that I can easily flip back and forth. We're going to use the Spinifex 3 7.5 inch today. However, I want you to note that these Spinifex 3, like most other Spinifex, come in a set of 5. They are 3.5, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5, 11.5. Here is a stitch out of them, a picture of the different sizes. And again, I use low shank templates on my machine. If we open up the instruction page that comes with the templates, you'll note that it's available in 7 sizes. The set comes in 3 sizes, ranging from 11.5 to 3.5 inch. And we have our mini Spinifex 3 also, which can come in with one of the mini Spinifex packages. As we have been doing, we're going to go ahead, we're going to do 8 rotations and 16 rotations today. I am not going to flip the template back and forth for today's. Again, I'm going to come back with these templates and show you some more intense designs, intricate designs, whichever you want to say it is. And on the back, of course, are some examples and a short bio about Leonie West, who is the designer and inventor of Westalee Designs Templates, which now is owned by Westalee. So let's go ahead and we will get started. Today, as I said, we're going to use the 7.5 inch Spinifex 3. You can use it with a pin. We're not going to today. We're just going to come from the bottom to the top, and when the design from tip to tip is finished, it will be 7.5 inches. I have an 11-inch square that I'm using. And like I do with most of the Spinifex, you've seen this before if you've been watching. Well, I need to adjust my foot. That's always got to be the first thing we do. We want to make sure that our foot height is set properly. We don't want it to be too high off of the fabric, because if it is, we're going to have skip stitches. And if it's too tight on the fabric, we will have snow plowing, and what that can do is create little creases in your fabric, and we don't want that either. So what I like to do before I start stitching, and I'm going to pull you in a little closer here to see better how I'm doing it. What I like to do is do a little test stitch in the corner where it's going to be cut away, or sometimes I actually need to pick it out. But what I'm looking for is I want to make sure that my tension is set correctly. And in order to do that, what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for bobbin thread showing on the top fabric or top thread showing on the back, and I have neither, so my tension is good. I can move my template without snow plowing, and I've got it just kissing the top of the fabric. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set our template. I'm going to pull my bobbin thread up, and this is going to be right in the center of our block. Now, everybody has a different way of doing things, and that's a good thing. I prefer when I pull my bobbin thread up, I like my bobbin thread and my top thread to both come to the top underneath my template. It's just my preference. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my threads off to the side here. I'm going to bring you up just a little. I want you to be able to see the whole template here. Okay. And the reason I want you to see that is because there's markings right here. This marking here and this mark through the center is what we're going to line up to make sure that we have our template lined appropriately. Okay, I like to take that first stitch just a little in place or very, very small. This template is a rounded template, which I've talked about in the other videos. I'll talk about here as well. I like to make sure that I keep my stitch lengths just a little bit smaller when I'm doing any type of a curve. There we go. Such as this. The reason being is our machines only stitch in a straight line. Therefore, to make our curve look smoother, we want to take a little smaller stitch length. Okay. It's going to make everything look a lot smoother. Coming back to the center. I have not tied off my strings yet, my threads. I'm not going to. After I get away from the center on this rotation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and trim those threads off. Reason I can get away with doing that is we're going to be going over this spot many times, many times. So we're going to definitely be burying this thread well enough that it is not going to come out. Being very careful not to move my template, and back to the stitch out. Now I have put 16 reference lines in here. We're going to start with 8, then we'll go ahead and continue on to 16. I normally would not twist my block around to come back to center. If I'm doing it here, it's strictly so that you can see it better. However, I really would like for you to be able to keep it straight and stitch both in a forward and a backward direction. As we start working on larger projects or whole cloth quilts, it's going to be more difficult for us to turn those quilts around as we're stitching. So therefore, it is a good practice to get into stitching in different directions. Then when we have a large project, we don't have to worry about trying to turn it. Okay, so here we go. This is number 4. Kind of like this, don't you? It's a very easy template to work with. Very straightforward. It leaves us a lot of design capabilities. And you will see that I'm taking one little extra stitch up at that point to keep our point pointy. Okay, back to center. Now I'm going to do the 45-degree lines. Look at that, isn't that cute? It looks nice just like that. I like that. Okay, here we go. This will be our 5th rotation. nice and steady. If you're just learning, don't worry too much about your stitch length in the beginning. That's going to come with practice. What you want to be concerned with or concentrating on, either way you want to put that, is making sure that you're not pushing your foot against your template or pushing your template against your foot. You're just laying your hands on your template. Your hands are what's moving your fabric. You're holding that template. You don't have to hold it with a death grip. You can hold it actually quite loosely, because all you're doing is making sure that this template is not moving as you're stitching around it. If you push on the template, you will find that it will move. You definitely don't want that to happen. Okay, back to center. And we've got 2 more rotations to do, and we've got our 8 rotations in. What really excites me about the spin effects is the secondary designs that are made with these templates. Okay, and we've got 1 more. There we go. Oh, there. Okay. Well, got going a little bit quick that way at that time, but that's okay. It's not going to show. Here's where I'm talking about taking just that 1 extra stitch. You don't want to hang around there too long, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a thread ball on the back, and you really don't want that. If it happens, it's not the end of the world. Okay, it's just something we don't want. If we can avoid it, we don't want that, right? Okay, so now I'm going to take my gate off and pull my tape back. And I use it's transparent, even though it's a colored tape, because I want to be able to see those lines on this part of the template. Those are important to me as well. Okay, there we go. That is 8 points. What do you think? I'm thinking I really like it. Now we could come back and flip this template and do the same 8 points, and we end up with some really interesting shapes in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. Put my gate back in, and I believe if you have new sets, I'm not sure if all of the circle, I'm not sure if all the spin effects have the needle channels instead of the gates. Either way, it's quite easy to maneuver. Just going to put this back on there. I use 2 because I'm a suspenders and belt kind of girl. I over-engineer things. At least I've been accused of that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in on the 8 reference lines that I have not stitched. And again, I'm going to go across on each one as opposed to going from one to the next to the next. There is a reason we do that, and it is because when we stitch, what we are doing is we're drawing our fabric in just a hair with every stitch we take. So if we go across, what will happen is they will shrink the fabric up more evenly, and it will give you less waviness on the outside. Here's another one. This is our second of the second set. of 8 rotations. One other thing I like to do also when I'm making designs or doing kind of a video with different placements of different templates, I do think it helps to number your rotation lines, your reference lines, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to finish up these last 8 rotations, and then we'll come back and take a look at our Spinifex 3 in completion. We're back, and here we go. This is our finished 16 rotations Spinifex 3. I hope you like it. I think it's a beautiful design. I love all the secondary cross hatching that comes in the center here. I see so many possibilities for that. One of the things I see as good possibilities with all of these blocks is for the use of the colored pencils, which a lot of you know that I like doing, and making this into a stained glass quilt. So we'll see what happens. But until then, this is Spinifex number 3, 7.5 inch, and it is on an 11-inch block. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing this as much as I enjoy bringing these videos to you. So until we meet again, let's quilt.